Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Let's Get Nostalgic, where on this podcast I talk about nostalgia. Today we have a very, today I have a very, sorry, today I have a special guest. He goes by the name of Manny's RK, and this guy's a pretty cool gamer. He does everything about retro, knows everything about retro games and everything else. So let him say a few things about himself as well. Manny?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thank you so much, Jazzman, the Jazzman, for having me on this podcast. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad that you thought of me. This is actually my first time being asked to be on anybody's podcast, so it means a lot to me, man. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you for coming.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
All right. Now, today I thought for the first episode, I was thinking of doing something called, talking about retrospect about Nintendo 64. Now, for those of you who have grew up on Nintendo 64, it is an awesome game console, and I've played
Super
it bunch of.
underrated.
Yeah, super underrated. And probably one of the best. Now, there are a few games that came out for Nintendo 64. I think we go with the ones that are most popular, and one of them being the Super Mario 64. Now, I've played this game a bunch of times growing up. I used to play it at my uncle's house. Yeah, I used to play it at my uncle's house, and it would be me and my brother staying over back growing up, and we saw these amazing games in the Nintendo 64. I was like, I never played it before. It was actually my cousin's. No, I think it was my uncle's console. But speaking of now we saw Super Mario 4 and other wrestling games. We'll get to that in another episode. But yeah, Super Mario 4 was probably one of the popular ones. I don't think I got a chance to finish it, nor have I played it in so long.
Yeah, it was a pretty long game. It was a pretty long game.
Yeah, I can tell you.
That's cool. So, did you play it when it first launched?
I was born in '95, so I didn't see much growing up.
Oh, okay. Right on. Yeah.
Yeah, but, especially when we played the game, going around, running, hearing Mario scream.
Oh, absolutely. You could literally run around on that game and just slide on your belly all day.
Yeah.
And still have a good time playing it. Not even playing the actual levels and stuff.
Yeah, that's
just exploring.
Yeah, just exploring everything.
Yeah, man, that's super cool. One of the things that stood out for me when the first time I saw Mario 64 was the colors.
Oh,
yeah, they were so vibrant. It just popped. And at that time you were kind of used to the graphics, pixelation and being a little bit more darker, a little more hazy. But man, when you seen the green on those trees and the grass and the warp pipe, the way the red would pop on Mario's outfit, Peach's castle, the sky, it's the blue from the water. I was like, wow, I was super impressed by how good it looked.
Yeah, like I said, I have not seen a Super Mario 4 in so long. I might have missed out. I might have missed out on all.
That's what's cool about retro gaming, man, is you could always go back and play them.
Yeah.
Always go back and play them. And like I said, they're not as not like the games today, that's for sure. Not as fast paced and stuff and the cutting edge graphics, but that fun factor is still there. The nostalgia is what really pulls you in.
Yeah. Now there's this other game. It's called GoldenEye. I've not played that either, nor have I ever bought it. Now it's a James Bond game.
Oh yeah.
And as you know, I'm a huge fan of James Bond and the 007 franchise.
Oh man, I love James Bond. It's so good. Pierce Brosnan's my favorite Bond. My dad, he was a big Sean Connery fan, but of course that was his generation, right? So
yeah,
me growing up, me growing up, I grew up watching the Pierce Brosnan James Bonds. I also watched the other ones, but at that time, it was huge. You know what I'm saying? He was just, those movies were so good, and to this day, he's still my favorite.
Yeah. Now the game is more similar to the movie, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. What's crazy is that game, because a lot of games that were movies, they get a bad rap, right? Like they rush them, they don't come out good.
You mean the
They're a
games?
mess. Yeah, the video games, like the video game adaptation of movies and stuff, they
Um,
get a really bad rap. They always say, oh, you can never make a good movie game. They rush them, they come out, they're glitchy and stuff like that. But GoldenEye, that game was rushed, but they made it perfect. Like it was the movie. Every scene of that movie was in that game. Started from beginning to end, and they still added some extra levels in there. But it followed the movie very well, and the action style was it was incredible, incredible.
yeah, I'm sure. I wish I had it when. I wish I had played it when I was growing up.
Oh
Jeez.
yeah, man, for sure. I'll tell you a quick little story. When GoldenEye first came out, it was one of those games that were, they were on the shelves. Not a lot of people knew about them. The only way you really heard about it was through like Nintendo Power magazines or other gaming magazines. You see an ad for GoldenEye coming soon.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen
Yeah,
Nintendo Power on
at that
eBay.
time, yeah, at that time, like Doom and stuff was, it was popular. So everybody was, oh cool, first person shooter on the Nintendo 64. Like that's gonna be awesome.
Hmm.
So I used to see them on the shelves. I'd see them at Kmart. I see them at Walmart, and it never like I wanted it, but it wasn't something that I like. Oh, I had to have it right then and there. But it was like instant regret because literally maybe like that first month that game just exploded. It was huge. It was so popular, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Anywhere. Nobody had them. I looked for months for that game, and I'm trying to remember where I found it. I want to say it was Sears. I think Sears was like the spot that nobody really went to go look for video games.
Ah,
I found it
Sears.
later on down the line.
Sears was probably popular at the time. Is it? Oh,
Yeah,
did it go
yeah.
out
At
of
that time,
business?
yeah, they're out of business now. I think there's
Yeah.
like a few stores they still have open, but they're not very big anymore. So, but I know all the ones around me they closed. It's crazy because the Sears where I live, it looks like it's one story, but it's actually two stories. So you have all the clothes and stuff on top, and you would take this escalator to go downstairs, and that's where they had like the video games. And it wasn't a very big video game section. It was mostly like TVs. At that time they had the big CRT, big screen TVs and stuff that take up all the space. And I went down there and I just happened to like, oh, let me just go look real quick and see what they have. What didn't even have GoldenEye on my mind. I had already come to terms that what, I'm not going to find this anywhere. If I maybe I'll get lucky. So I just went down there and looked around, and there it was, man. Sure enough, it was GoldenEye 64. I couldn't believe it. Now, before I had actually bought the game, I used to rent it from the video store like
Oh,
crazy. I
yeah.
must have rented it like 6 or 7 times, trying to beat it and stuff. And the crazy part was I racked up some rent like late fees on that game because I decided not to tell my mom and dad that I still had it. They had forgot that we rented it. So I kept it for like an extra like 3 or 4 weeks. Ended up getting like I think it was like $40 or $50 in late fees, man. And oh, they were pissed. They were super mad.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, they got over it.
But now, 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 we have GameFly. Now that's now. I used to have a game. I don't know what game it was, but I think it was missing,
Hmm.
and I think we had late fees on that as well. I'm not sure what that game was, but
Hmm.
I see where you're talking about. I see what you're talking about late fees and all that. Keeping the
Oh
game,
yeah.
but
It
now
was just one of those games because I knew if I took it back, I wasn't going to get it back anytime soon because there was people waiting for that game. Like they would call from the video store and I'd just kind of like erase the message or something. I really didn't want to take it back. I
uh,
knew what was going to happen. I knew the consequences, but that's how good that game was, man. It was amazing for its time. Um, games like that only really came out on PC, so to be able to play something like that on the 64, it was mind blowing.
indeed. Oh, and some of the Disney games from Nintendo 64 were popular as well. Um, I, the one that I played was Mickey Speedway USA, and let me tell you, that game was popular. I really
Yeah,
loved
that's a
that.
fun game. That's a really fun game. I actually played that game not too long ago with my niece and nephews when they were over here visiting, and they they love Mario Kart, and I was like, oh, I got this Mickey USA game, it's Mickey Speedway USA. You guys want to try it? Oh yeah, sure. So I put it on, and they loved it.
Oh, they
We had a
loved
great
it.
time playing it. Oh, they loved it.
What characters were they? No, I
Well,
mean
I
like,
played as Goofy, and then my little nephew, he played as Mickey Mouse.
oh, yeah, Mickey
So
Mouse
he had to
probably.
be Mickey.
Now, let's see, what other popular game was there? And let me tell you, these are some of the games that should not be criticized. Let me tell you,
Hmm.
if you criticize a game, you're gonna get hurt. Well,
Oh, it's gonna happen.
yeah, that might. I'm just saying that because many people are strict when it comes to the popular game of Nintendo 64. I think maybe I'm
Oh
just
yeah.
talking. Maybe I'm just talking. But seriously, you know
Well, there was
those.
Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 came out on Nintendo 64.
Mhm.
And that was a pretty good game too. I think it came out on the Sega Dreamcast and PS1 as well. But there's also a game that I never hear anybody talk about, but it's actually a pretty decent game. It's kind of like Crash Bandicoot, the way they designed it and the gameplay style. And I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's Going Quackers. Donald Duck Going Quackers.
Oh, I think I've seen that before.
Yeah.
I was thinking of going to get. I was thinking of buying one of those off DK Oldies, but after hearing all the stuff about DK Oldies, I was like,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
they're
know.
catching a lot of heat right now online.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, that's wild. But yeah, it's definitely a really cool game. Like I said, it plays like Crash Bandicoot. It's like that same style. You get the camera behind them, and you're just kind of jumping and landing on stuff. And it's crazy because I used to see this game a couple years back for like $8 or $10. It's actually gone up in price, so it's getting pretty expensive now. I notice a lot of the Disney games are going up right now too.
yeah. Now there's one game, and we'll talk about it in another episode. My favorite game from Disney is probably the Kingdom Hearts game. Let me tell you that. I know we're going off topic with it, but that's
Oh,
probably
it's
one of
okay.
my yeah, it's my favorite game. The Kingdom Hearts. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
I've heard of it. I have a couple copies, but I've never played any of them.
You haven't even you never actually played any of them?
I've never actually played any of the Kingdom Hearts games. Nah. I
Well,
need to give it a go though.
yeah, I highly recommend you do. I would start with the first one, and let me tell you, I when I played the Kingdom Hearts 3 game instead of the first one, that was probably one of my biggest mistakes. That was probably a bit of a what do you call it? Mess up or like backwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would call it backwards. So I played the the third Kingdom Hearts first before I did the first one. I kind of went backwards over that because I've seen a lot
Uh,
of people play the Kingdom Hearts first and second on YouTube a bunch of times.
nice. Yeah, I heard that there was the one that came out for Xbox One and PS4, but I heard like mixed reviews on it. Like some people said it was good, some people said it was okay. Some people said that it didn't really tie into the rest of the story. But I don't know. I might have to give it a look on YouTube and try to catch up with all that.
Now, let's see what other Nintendo 64 games were popular. Because I mean, like, I need to. I think I might buy them somewhere in the near future.
Hmm.
What's there? What other games do you think were popular? Like Banjo. What's his name? Banjo Koozie or
Oh, Banjo Kazooie.
yeah, Banjo. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the.
so Banjo Kazooie was made by Rare. There was actually the same developers that did GoldenEye.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, pretty much after GoldenEye, like they just anything they touched was like gold, man. Like everything was just coming out perfect for them. Because then they followed up with like after Banjo Kazooie, I believe it was Conker's Bad Fur Day,
Okay.
and that was a really great game too.
Hmm. Now,
Super ahead of its time.
now I was thinking of talking about wrestling in another episode, but I think it's best we talk a little bit about it. Now,
Yeah, sure, sure.
now, my favorite wrestling games from Nintendo 64 were like there was WCW games and the WWF before it became WWE. Now,
Hmm.
the, my most favorite game playing from my most favorite game is WCW NWO Revenge. That was
One of
probably
the best. One
yeah.
of the best right there. That game, from the very beginning to the very end, that game is just man. I
Man,
can't tell you how many hours I played that game just BSing on there. Like it was so much fun, man.
yeah, it was phenomenal. I played it like it was nothing. I played like it was nothing. Let me tell you, all the wrestlers from the past and some that are still with us, but this
Hmm.
game really blew my mind. Like there were stories of the NWO, there was Goldberg, and there was Macho Man Randy Savage, Sting. Oh, and believe
Oh
it or not,
yeah.
oh, they had the old Surface Sting and the old Scott Steiner. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's right. That's right. He had his brother on there too. His
Yeah,
little headgear and stuff.
yeah. Now they had the young Scott Steiner. If you change the costume and everything,
Uh
that's
huh.
now that to me was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I used to love like I'd spend so much time creating characters and stuff, and I used to love just switching it up. Like I just to try to get a feel for them and like trying to get your taunts down and stuff like that. I love the build a character mode. I don't know what it was about it. It was just fun, just using somebody else's theme music as your own and their little entrances and stuff like that. So, like I said, games like that, like it was, they were so simple, but they were fun to play. Like it was just like literally hours of just to keep you busy, to get through the weekend or whatever, and get through the week just to hang out and play games for a little while.
Yeah,
When you got tired of the other games, just pop this one in, and it's funny too because like sports games, they usually get pretty bad rap. There's not really a lot of memorable ones except NFL Blitz. NFL Blitz really stood out because it was different. There was no penalties or anything. It was just grindhouse football, and you can hit the players and stuff like that after a play, and so that one definitely stands out. From the rest. But once you got tired of playing those, like man, pop in WCW vs NWO Revenge, pop in World Tour,
yeah,
and then you can switch it up and go to WWF, and it was cool because WWF and WCW, they were beefing at that time, but
indeed.
in the video game world, they were beefing too because you had friends that were divided on oh I like the WCW games better, I like Revenge more than I like No Mercy or WrestleMania 2000.
I'm, I wonder if there was a debate on that. I wonder if there was a debate on that at the time.
There should be shoot. I remember we used to argue with my friends and stuff too.
Y'all never, y'all never threw any fist hit, did y'all?
Oh no, no, no. We may have shoved each other around a little bit, but nothing too crazy. But we would argue. But at that time, it was the wars. It was Monday Night Wars and stuff. So you wanted to know who was the better. Who were you gonna watch? Were you gonna watch WCW? Were you gonna watch WWF?
Well, the
Me, I would go back and forth.
yeah, yeah, the Attitude Era pretty much destroyed WCW at the time. That
Oh
was
yeah,
crazy.
it was so huge, man. Like you never knew what to expect. Like
Yeah,
not like today. You can kind of figure out what's gonna happen, and already you have an idea of how it's gonna go. Back then, they really sold it. It was really unpredictable.
yeah. The only the only difference for me is because I had to go back and watch all the stuff about the Attitude Era and WCW because
Hmm.
growing up I didn't know much about it. I didn't know much about the wrestling stuff. It was crazy. Now,
Yeah.
now for World Tour, the WCW World Tour, it that was kind of different to be quite honest. It
Hmm.
didn't show the championship belts either. The
Oh,
only
that's
thing,
right. It didn't, huh?
yeah, and they had a boxer named Joe Bruiser, but who was he supposed to be? Who was Joe Bruiser like? The character Joe Bruiser supposed to be like Muhammad Ali or like? What do you think when you saw it?
Um, let's see. I'm not sure who he was. I'm trying to remember. I remember the boxer, but I don't think I ever used him before.
Oh
Because like I know for sure like he doesn't do any grappling moves or anything, right?
no,
Like he was just like punching and kicking.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and what I really loved about the oh, I forgot to tell you about the revenge game. What I really loved about the game, I'm not sure if you've seen the gameplay, and for those of you who haven't seen it, go watch it on YouTube. But I've seen a lot of the knockouts when they go down. For revenge,
Uh-huh.
whenever they go, and they go down like they go slumping down and
Yeah,
trying to get
yeah.
back up, and that's exactly and that's basically what I love about World Tour as well. And they go like like that, and then they go down.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's like revenge, man. Like I love the replays. Like
Yeah.
like you would like you know hit somebody or body slam somebody or slam them into the ring or something, and
Or
then they
run.
start bleeding, and then all of a sudden it show the replay like 3 times. Boom, boom, boom.
That's
Yeah,
crazy. Like,
yeah. As a kid, it got you hyped up. You're like, oh man, this is amazing. I
and there
remember like
was
with Sting, you got a bat and stuff.
he would just whack somebody
Yeah.
like whack.
It'd be a quick match.
Yeah, yeah, and then the blood would come out. They'd
Uh
just be down on the floor, like they'd be twitching, and then they'd be like TKO. That
Yeah.
would be for
So
World Tour as well.
what stages did you use? Like I know like on World Tour, like how you could do like Halloween Havoc and you could do like Starcade and all that.
Oh, I used many of them. I used many of
Nice.
them.
Yeah, I used to jump back and forth between Halloween Havoc and Bash at the Beach.
Hmm. Now, there was another game. It's called WCW Mayhem. Have you ever played that?
Mayhem is one that I have not played.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
thought,
you got to tell me about that one. I've seen it, and there's so many times that I almost grabbed it, and for some reason I just never did. I think I was too. I think I had everything I needed with Revenge, so I was pretty set.
oh, okay, okay. Now, let's see. Now, WrestleMania 2000. Now, it's more similar to Revenge.
Right.
Yeah. What do you think of it? Like, when I played it, it was great. You know, I played a
Hmm.
lot of different characters. Like, I played Kane, Undertaker, The Rock, Steve Austin, DX. Those are pretty cool games.
Oh yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts on WrestleMania 2000?
Yeah, I love playing it. The first like back in the day, I didn't have it, but my best friend he lived 3 houses down from me. Him and his little brother they used to play it all the time. So they were like super into wrestling, like hardcore into wrestling. And they were like, "Dude, come over. We got WrestleMania 2000." And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Let's head down there." And shout out to the Nintendo 64 because
Yeah,
they
shout
had
out.
four port controllers, man. 4 port controllers. Like it was awesome. Like you figure you jump from the Super Nintendo to the N64. You got 2 players. The PlayStation and stuff like they all had like the 4 tap whatever where you can buy a little controller to plug 4 controllers into it, but nobody really got it. Like nobody I knew had it. It
Nobody.
wasn't like having it built into the system.
You mean
So 64 had the controllers built into the system. So all you had to do was plug and play. So, I brought my controller over and we were doing like handicap matches and Royal Rumbles and stuff. And, I liked it. I loved it. I loved the look of it. I love green. Green's my favorite color. So I always liked that the 2000 was in green. So I always thought it was cool. I always used Stone Cold. I used the Rock a few times, but it was cool, man. I like the entrances and all that stuff. The gameplay was fun. It was fast, and I think the sound quality was really good on that too.
Yeah, I loved it as well. You know, especially when using the other characters from the Attitude Era. Like there was D'Lo Brown, there was Mark Henry. Well, Mark Henry is already famous.
Strongest man on earth.
Yeah, he's become the strongest man on earth. I couldn't believe how he built himself up. Like, if it hadn't been for now, let me say this: if it hadn't been for Ron Simmons, aka Farouk, there
Damn.
there would have been no world champion. There would be no world champions for. There will be no world champions for black wrestlers. You know, because
I feel you, man. Yeah.
he in 1992 won the world heavyweight title from Vader, and that really got me
Yeah, I
inspired.
posted a video about that. I actually posted a video on the match on my TikTok. I posted the match of Ron Simmons and Vader, and yeah, I love that one, man. It's really good. It was a really good match. And Vader, what a guy Vader is, dude. He's a cool guy, man. I actually ran into him at a place called Frankenstein's out here in LA.
Oh, you did?
And yeah, and what's wild, dude, is like, okay, so he was wearing this big old suit. Like, I mean, this guy was like a bust, man. He was just huge, huge. Like, he literally walk and take up a whole aisle. Now, I knew Vader was big, but seeing him up close, I could not believe how big he was. Like, this guy was just I don't know, I'd be scared to go in the ring with them. That's for sure. You know, I think twice because I mean, this dude, oh my god, like one mistake and it's over. Like, and you know, it wasn't like he was like big, like you know, like fat or something. Like he was just a big old giant man, dude. Like this guy was insane. I never seen anything like that before.
Oh, that's crazy, yo. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
'cause, you know, you think of like somebody big, you think of like you know, muscular or something, or like Yokozuna. You know, but this guy was just massive, man, and like he even had the deep voice and everything. Like it was pretty cool. This was before he passed, so this was a couple years back. And I wanted to say hi, man, but I got nervous.
Yeah, something. Speaking of, you know, meeting wrestlers, I was at a wrestling event back in Charlotte last year. It was called MLW Super Fight. You won't believe who I ran into. I ran into some of the greatest wrestlers. I ran into Alex Hammerstone. I ran into Ricky Steamboat. There were some
Oh
pictures of
wow.
that, and there was a Killer Cross. Now this guy, he this guy knew how to fight. He was dangerous. I I met him and I took a picture with him. I think you might see that on my Instagram.
I gotta check it out. I definitely gotta go to your Instagram and look for that picture now.
Yeah, that's. I can tell you. I can tell you. I didn't know what to. I didn't know what to say.
Uh-huh.
But he was really nice. We spoke about stuff. I spoke to him about how
Oh,
I saw him on NXT and how he and Impact. Yeah,
that's awesome, dude.
yeah. I'd be scared to death if I go up against him in the ring. I
Oh
definitely.
yeah, there's a few guys that you know I'd be terrified of. But you know, going back to Ron Simmons, man, did you ever meet Ron Simmons?
Uh, no, I never got.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
probably.
same here. I don't. He doesn't really do events out here too much in California.
I probably might meet him somewhere in the near future. I think I don't know. There's this thing called Russellcade. It's in Winston Salem. I'm not sure if you've heard of
Uh-huh.
that. I'm not sure if you've heard that.
It sounds familiar.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's see. Now, oh, No Mercy. You know No Mercy, right? The
Oh no, mercy. Yeah, yeah,
the Nintendo game. Yeah. Well, let me
yeah.
tell you
That's a
that.
good one too,
Yeah.
man.
Now, there was a lot of stuff that I loved about the game.
What's that?
Oh, let's see. There was the theme music, the wrestling style, including the championships that were in it. Like, and how about Eddie Guerrero? Now, Eddie Guerrero, the best wrestler. Let me tell you,
Yeah, he was such a good technical wrestler.
I can't
Such a
understand.
shame.
You know something? It really hurt me when I mean, growing up when I heard that he passed away in 2005, it hurt. It really hurt. It hurt. It hurt a lot.
Oh yeah. He well, like he was, you know, he was a great performer. He was a great wrestler. Yeah, he just put on such a great show. He can get everybody fired up, you know, like he had a great entrance, you know, it was different. And the man brought a whole lowrider into
Yeah,
the ring, you know, and he out to the stage out there. And it was just sad, like it's such a terrible way to go. It's like, man, like what happened, you know? And then, you know, he was like at his peak right there, you know, like he was already he had been in the game for so long and he was really starting to take off at that time.
yeah, and
I
and he
felt.
and he did take off, and he did take off. Like like his win at No Way Out, win the WWE title, that made him a star. It it
Uh-huh.
it made him the greatest wrestler. It marked him as one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
Yeah, he was amazing.
And
Amazing. And he had that little beef with Rey Mysterio.
I really couldn't understand that. I just couldn't
Yeah.
couldn't understand that because
They go back and forth.
I mean they were like a team. They were like a team.
Hmm. Yeah, it was only a small group of them. It was what him and his brother Chavo, and then Rey Mysterio was just pretty much kind of around at that time. You know, he wasn't really real big yet. He was getting there though.
Indeed, he was.
So let me ask you, what game did you like more? Did you like WrestleMania 2000 more? Or did you like No Mercy?
That's gonna
Or
be
what
tough.
game stood out to you more? Yeah.
That's gonna be tough because I mean, like, I've played both of them. I've seen the style. I created it. But to be quite honest, I think I'm gonna go with WrestleMania 2000. I think that's what I'm gonna go with. That's one of the
Yeah, see, I always hear more people talk about No Mercy more than WrestleMania 2000. But you know, honestly, like just recently, people were like hyping up No Mercy more than WrestleMania 2000. But honestly, like when I look back, I played WrestleMania 2000 more than I played No Mercy. So I right then and there, I'm like, okay, that's the game I think I like more.
Now, here's a question. Why do people think that No Mercy is way better than WrestleMania 2000?
Something to do with the character build. Now, like for No Mercy, I didn't really do the whole character thing too much. I mostly just played through it, you know, did some exhibition matches and stuff like that. But I never got it too much into the character one. Like I did more character on WCW versus NWO Revenge. I don't know what it was about that game. I loved building characters in that game for some reason, but I didn't really do it too much on No Mercy. I didn't do it too much on WrestleMania 2000. But when I ask people about it, that's what it seems like. That's why it's more of a winner, was because of the whole character build process on No Mercy was better than 2000. So that's just what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not. I got to go back and try them. I do have them both, so I definitely got to go back and give it a go.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I think well, I think the reason that No Mercy was, I think it's way better, to be honest. And even though I picked WrestleMania 2000, was the
Mm-hmm.
music for the new No Mercy. Like, there was like for exhibition and Shop Zone.
Oh, okay. So I had a better soundtrack.
I think so, yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah, I
I've
definitely
been,
got to go back.
I've seen some TikTok. Um, I've seen a lot of TikToks on the WWF No Mercy, music. I can see
Mm-hmm.
people booking into it. It's like it has a hip hop beat to it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Especially with like Rikishi and all them, they were doing like was it that Still Fly or So Fly song? They do their little dance too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I had posted a video on TikTok about that as well, about how like shout out to the developers for throwing in the dance.
yeah.
It was pretty
THQ.
neat, man. I love seeing that. THQ, it's a shame they lost that license, but I don't know. Do they have it back now?
I don't know. I think it was.
Because I know EA was making the games for a while, but like they dropped the ball. Like they even stopped making them for like a year or two because they were so glitchy and like just bad, just really bad games. You couldn't even wrestle.
Uh,
So I had heard something that they had stopped making it for a year or two, and then they went with somebody else, and that's the WWE or WWE 2K22 or something like that. So something like that, the new one that's out. But I heard the new one was really good. I haven't played it either, but I definitely want to give it a shot.
Now there are some other Nintendo 64 games. You heard of Star Wars, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I have one of the Star Wars games. Let me see what it is. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, I think there was like 3 or 4 Star Wars games on the 64.
I'm sorry. What was that?
Oh no, I'm just saying. I think there was like 3 or 4 Star Wars games that came out for the N64.
Oh, okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. I found it. I've not played it yet. It's called Star Wars Rough Squadron.
Oh, Rogue Squadron. Yeah, that was a really popular game. That was a game that I always wanted to get for my Nintendo 64, and I never got it. I don't know why. I don't know what it was. I don't know what's. I must have seen another game that I wanted more. And pretty much every time I went to the store, I must have just got something else. But my buddy, my best friend, rest in peace. He's passed now. Um, he used to get all the 64 games like the day of. Like he'd get off of school, he'd go home, and it'd be literally in his room. Like he was the friend that everybody wanted to sit next to on the bus because he had Nintendo powers and stuff. So we'd just be sitting there reading them. But I went over to his house and he was like, "Dude, I got Star Wars Rogue Squadron. I'm gonna go home and play it." And it was a new game, so we were pretty much just watching him play it. And I
Oh,
was like, "Wow, that looks really cool."
you never played it?
No, I have it now. Yeah, now I have it.
Oh, I
But
meant.
at that time, I was like, it was a game I always wanted but never got.
Oh, I meant like. What I meant like. Have Did you play it while your friend was playing the game?
Not at first. At At first, like I said, he was more like, oh, you're gonna watch me play type of thing.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we just kind of sat back and hung out while he was playing the game.
All right.
He didn't want to share.
What? Oh no.
Yeah, he was one of those guys, but he was a cool guy, man.
Yeah. Nintendo 64 will really bring back a lot of memories. Let me tell you.
Yeah, they do have one of the best Star Wars games too is Star Wars Shadows of the Empire.
Oh, I need. Oh, what about that game?
It's it's an amazing game, and it came out early on in the 64's life. It's like I want to say one of the launch titles. I remember it being on the box when you first bought the console,
Okay.
and like the box art on it's fantastic. It's beautiful. Like if you get a chance to get Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, complete in box, definitely do it. But yeah, the gameplay, like I said, the camera is a little weird, but it's not too bad. You get used to it. But the gameplay itself is really good. So if you ever get a chance to play Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, man, go for it. I'd like to see a remake of that game, honestly.
Now about remakes. Now about the remakes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I recently played a Crash Bandicoot remake. It was on PS4, but
Oh, okay.
let's see. Is it better than the original?
Now I haven't played the remake. I'm assuming it was the trilogy, right?
Uh, yes, that's the trilogy.
Yeah, I haven't played the remake, but I would think that it's pretty spot on with the original.
Yeah,
I think it probably has like smoother graphics because the OG one's so pixelated. But at that time it looked good to us. That's as good as graphics got at that time. So we were like, wow, this is amazing.
yeah. I'm sure.
But yeah, the trilogy is definitely one I've been wanting to get for a while too. I just for some reason it's never on sale. Every time I go to the store, like Walmart or Target, it's never on sale. It's always like $39.
The trilogy. I think I might have got that offline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much about it.
Nice. Are you a fan of the Star Wars Pod Racer, Episode 1 Pod Racer for the 64?
Oh, I've never played it before. I
Oh man, it's a really cool game. If you're into racing games and Star Wars, like it
oh
really is a
I'm
cool
into
game.
I'm into racing games, but it's just
Yeah,
and I'm pretty much a Star Wars fan. I just haven't seen much of it.
yeah, definitely. You gotta get yourself a copy, man. It's a great game. The only thing, like, it's so weird because it's so fast. Like you're playing it and you're just like, wow, you're used to like the cars driving a certain speed, whatever, cruising USA style. But this one, like that pod racer is flying, dude. And like one little mistake, like you're gonna hit a rock or you're gonna crash into the canyon. So it keeps your blood pumping, it gets your adrenaline going, and then the music's like really hyped up. So you're just like, wow. So shout out to Star Wars Episode 1. That was a really cool racing game. It even
Yes,
came out in the
shout
arcade
out.
too. Sega made arcade out of it.
Yeah. Now Kart, Mario Kart. You have that game, right?
Oh yeah.
What what is it about Mario Kart that you know that made it so popular, along with the
You know, that's a
60?
really good question. That's a really good question. I know it became real popular on the Super Nintendo. If you go back and play it today, it's like, wow, it's so different, but it's still fun. It's still fun. Uh, my favorite version was the Nintendo 64 version. I have a lot of good memories of playing that game. To me, at that time, it looked really good. It was beautiful. It played really smooth. I always thought that the graphic design, like of the levels and stuff, was really well. The voice acting was really good. The sound effects are really good. I don't know. I think it was a simple game, but it was a fun game. Just to be able to play with three other people, I think that's what made it fun. And it was just like it was competitive, and you could literally just buy a box of pizza and kick back all night and play Mario Kart, and
Yeah,
try to get in the top four. But
something.
I think it was the simplicity of it was just perfect.
Well, something like if there were reenactments, and I wish there was a show on, talking about Nintendo 64 and everything else. I think there would be like, you know, did you know this and did you know that, and knows a lot about that. No,
What
I'm
was that? I'm
just
sorry.
sorry. What I mean, like, if there was a web series on Nintendo 64, I might watch it. Or
Oh yeah.
let's say it would be on on television.
Hmm.
or a streaming platform. I think that
Mhm.
I think that would really be great. And then we have reenactments, and probably one of us would, talk about it. Like,
Oh yeah,
I think that would be great.
that would be great. Like the 64, you figure it came out what in the mid '90s, went into the 2000s,
Yep.
and at that time they were putting out some really great games. Like the library is not huge. I know a lot of people didn't like the 64 because it didn't have a lot of RPGs. But honestly, I'm not an RPG guy. A lot of people will be surprised by that, but RPGs were just never really my thing. Now I was always like a running gun, beat 'em up, racing. That was more my style. I like to play the game, and I like to finish it fast and move on to the next one. That was always like my style of play. So a lot of the games for the 64 they weren't really that long, so that was always a plus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a great idea about doing a series on 64.
Yeah. I don't think today we'll ever know how good Nintendo 64 really was, to be honest. Because I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
because when I played it, it it really blew my mind.
Yeah,
Really blew my mind. So I know if if I had the chance, I would do a video on it. Video on Nintendo 64, like the
yeah,
one
you
we're
should, man. That'd be awesome.
yeah, like we just talked about right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a story behind everything, so
Yep,
you know, it had to it had to get made somehow.
indeed.
What did it take to get it? How was it made? Why was it good? Why was it bad?
Yeah, that's what I don't get. Like I saw an article about that. They say it was a failure. That
Hmm.
Nintendo 64 was a failure. Why would they
I
say it's a
I don't
failure?
know. I'm not sure. Like, I know it was really successful here in the United States. I think they sold over 20 million units here in the U.S. alone. So, and worldwide, it had to have been like over 300 million or something like that. But I don't. I think the problem with the 64 is that at that time, like PlayStation was out. So you figure the PlayStation was Sony was they were supposed to make the CD player for the 64.
Okay.
That's all Sony came to be, right? So not so much Sony, but that's how the PlayStation came to be. So they were supposed to make this disc reading port that you could plug into the 64, and it was going to play video games on disc. Um, Now PlayStation was giving everybody a run for their money because Nintendo backed out. They backed out of it. They didn't want to do it no more. They wanted to stick to cartridge base. And Sony had already said, "Hey, you know what? We had already developed all this technology. We're gonna run our own console." And boom, the Sony PlayStation was born because N64, or actually not N64, but Nintendo dropped out. So why let the technology go to waste? So they went ahead and built the PlayStation out of it. And little did they know, PlayStation was basically going to conquer the world at that time.
Uh,
It literally ended Sega. Sega couldn't compete no more.
mm,
This Nintendo was, they were holding on, that's for sure. But they were still doing good. They still had their following.
yeah.
But Sony literally changed the way games were pretty much being made after that.
Yeah.
Because PlayStation was always more of like the adult console type of thing. They had the more serious games, darker games. More of a storyline. It was basically like playing on a PC.
Oh yeah.
Whereas Nintendo was more bright and happy, I guess you could say. But at that time, Nintendo they were doing some things so much family friendly like they are now.
Yeah. I
They were doing games like Nightmare Creatures, and they had one of the best first person shooters of all time, which was GoldenEye.
yeah. I think I'll get into PlayStation, sooner or later in the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but something, Nintendo 64 still one of the best.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I don't, I try not to take any consoles for granted. I had so many memories with all of them. So a lot of people don't like the 64 because of the controller, and I understand it. It looks like a batarang or something. But from what my understanding is, the reason why it looks so different was because they wanted to make it look more 3D since this was their first 3D console.
Okay.
So that's why the controller looks the way it does. They wanted to make it look more 3D because they had seen what happened with the Sega Saturn, and the Sega Saturn was a great console. It was amazing. They had great games, but the Sega Saturn was an epic failure. Like it failed miserably here in the U.S.
Huh.
And one of the biggest things that people talked about was that it was basically a Sega Genesis controller on a new console. It looked just like the Sega Genesis controller. It had 6 buttons. They didn't really do much to upgrade the controller. So that's why Nintendo, they saw that and they wanted to make that leap and say, hey, you know what? We need to make a controller to match this console, make it more 3D. And I guess that's why the controller looks the way it does.
Yeah.
And that's like everyone's biggest complaint, that ugly controller. And it is weird. It takes a little getting used to. When I didn't have my 64 for a long time and I bought one again, I started playing it. And I was like, wow, how did I play this? Like the joystick feels so thin. And, back in the day, I didn't mind. It was comfortable to me. When you're a kid, you don't care. You just want to play.
Yeah,
So playing it again, I was like, wow, this is weird.
I can remember just playing my Nintendo 64 at the school. It'd be amazing. Those were the days.
Those were the days, man. Simpler times, no bills.
Yeah. I will never forget the day I played the Nintendo 64 along with my brother. It was phenomenal. It was.
Yeah, those are good memories to have, man. Like some of my memories too are playing with my older brother, playing with my younger brother. So those are really good memories to have.
I think we covered everything about Nintendo 64, haven't we?
Just about. I mean, yeah, man. If you ever want to get back on here again, let me know.
Well, let me tell you, it was a great one. It was really great having you as a guest on my podcast.
Thank you so much.
I just do this for fun, and I really.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey.
So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Like I said, it means a lot that you asked me. So, of course I had to come through for you, man. The Jazz Man.
Yeah, thank you. All right, guys. If y'all want to see more of Manny's arcade on his thoughts on gaming and everything else, check him out on TikTok and YouTube. You'll be amazed by what he talks about.
Thank you so much. I try. It gets a little hard sometimes. It takes up a lot of time. It's crazy how much time it takes up to like post on social media and stuff. But it's the love of gaming. It's the love of nostalgia, man. That's why we're here, right?
Yeah, we're here.
It's all about nostalgia.
Yeah, we want to bring back what nostalgia means to everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's one of the best feelings, man.
Yeah, one of the best feelings. All right, guys. I thank y'all for tuning in to my podcast on Let's Get Nostalgic. If you want to keep getting nostalgic, check me out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Manny, do you want to say anything?
Just thank you so much for having me, man. I really do appreciate it. I had a blast. I had a really good time. I'm glad everything worked out. We had a little bit of technical issues in the beginning, but it was meant to be. It worked out. So.
Yep, indeed.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me, man. And check out my man Jazz Man right here. He's got some great content as well.
All right.
So thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all in the next episode. Peace.
All right, later, brother.
All right, see you.